Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? I'm Felix. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video, and I kind of just want to get on here and explain my testimony, explain kind of what ultimately led me to Christ, um, and possibly relate to somebody out there who comes across this video, and hopefully plant seeds to anybody who comes across this video. But I really just want to explain what got me to where I am right now, as far as being a man of God, still struggling, not perfect, never will be, at least here on earth. And yeah, kind of what took place. So my story pretty much starts off in Columbus, Ohio. That's where I was born and raised. I'm one of 3 kids, all boys, single mom. She got pregnant with me in high school. She ended up getting married not too long after graduating high school. And though the guy wasn't my biological father, he named me after him, and I appreciate that. He was around when she was pregnant with me, and he was pretty much a father. Things kind of dwindled out. I want to say around 2nd grade for me. He's kind of stopped coming around as much, as him and my mom were going through a messy divorce. And I kind of noticed a trajectory of my mom kind of going a bit downhill after the divorce. You know, she started drinking. That's when I started to notice the drinking and, you know, the bad choices and boyfriends, and how that ultimately affected me and my brothers growing up. So there would be a lot of arguments in the house, a lot of physical altercations in the house growing up, not just with our mom and her boyfriends, but like it got to the point as we got older, me and my brothers started to physically get into altercations with some of her boyfriends as well. And it ultimately got to the point where we did end up getting put into foster care. And that was a pretty confusing time, rough time. And yeah, so I ended up getting moved to a new school through foster care. I had 2 parents. They were amazing to me. You know, we had like our little run-ins here and there, as any family dynamic will be, but for the most part, they kind of showed me, not just really taught me, but showed me what it meant to be in a normal family. Whenever my foster mom and foster dad would kind of fight, it would never be like an actual like screaming confrontation. They would absolutely never put their hands on each other. And you know, I didn't really have, like, the police wouldn't be coming to the door, neighbors wouldn't be concerned. Like, for the first time, I kind of felt what it was to have a normal family, you know, not perfect, but normal. And eventually it got to the point the summer right before my senior year, where CPS was kind of sitting me down and like, hey, we want you to go visit your mom. Kind of decide, just for a week in South Carolina, kind of decide if that's maybe something you're interested in going back to finish out your senior year. And I was like, sure. Ultimately, I kind of already made my mind up, because I know how my mom is, and I was like, there's no way she changed. Like, I'm not going back home. There's no way she changed. There's no way she's, you know, done drinking and sober and all that good stuff. Like, you know, a boy could dream at that time, but no. And sure enough, I went back home just for the week, and I was right. She didn't change. She was still drinking, and in fact, it had got a lot worse, because obviously we were in foster care, and you know, and she was starting to be affected by it mentally and being depressed, and even kind of alluding to suicidal thoughts. And that was a scary time. I ultimately told her, like, hey mom, you know, I love you, but I'm not coming back home. I am going back to finish my senior year out, you know, with CPS, and I'm just gonna go off to college. She didn't take it too well at first, but ultimately she did kind of get over it, and we kind of went from there. So my senior year of high school, I did have to move to a whole nother house. I did have to move to a completely different house, and that was putting a strain on me mentally because I had so many friends at this old school. I played sports. I was playing basketball. I ran track. I did hurdles. Shout out to my hurdlers out there. I felt like it was kind of being ripped away from me. I felt like the normal life that I just had gotten accustomed to and used to, and going to school, making making friends, playing sports, going to high school parties and whatnot. Like, I felt like it was being all ripped away from me, even though it really wasn't. I was going through a confusing time, me having to just up and leave against my choice, against my will, and not really have much of a say. It was really starting to take a toll on me mentally. And looking back, I really know that now, because I didn't really give anyone the time of day my senior year. This was all happening my senior year, mind you. Whole new school, new people, new family. And looking back, they were also amazing. Foster parents were amazing. I still talk to them to this day. We still check in with each other here and there to this day. And they were amazing. I couldn't really ask for, much more. And but I was just going through a rough time, and it was a confusing time, and I was standoffish a lot, and I would be in my room a lot, and little did I know I was depressed. I was depressed. I wouldn't leave my room a lot, and I wasn't trying to put in any effort to meet new friends. I mean, eventually I did join track at this new school, but I was still standoffish for the most part. So during my senior year, I ended up trying out weed and smoking it to kind of just numb the pain and keep my mind off of things. And this kind of trickled over to my freshman year of college. Then it got really bad to the point where I would smoke weed every single day and not go to class. And my roommate, he would kind of try to talk some sense into me here and there, but for the most part, I wasn't trying to hear it, and I was not going to class, and I almost flunked out. I had to pull myself together and get myself together that last semester, or I was gonna flunk. So I had to buckle down and get serious about my grades, going to class, and I had to tighten up or I was going to flunk out my freshman year of college. So yeah, a few years down the line, I started to slowly but surely get into occult practices. I would kind of want to know the outcome of certain things. I would kind of want to know where my life was going. Like, at this time, I'm in my early 20s, so it's like I'm still figuring things out. I'm still pretty much impressionable for the most part, and I'm really just lacking a lot of guidance. At that point in life, I wasn't really that close with my foster family, and I was just looking for guidance. I was looking for a way out mentally, and I would seek guidance from occult practices such as tarot cards, and I would get all kind of readings done on me to see outcomes and future stuff. I've always kind of had a sense of who God was and what he stood for, but I never really had regard for God like that, and it wasn't for any particular reason other than looking back then, maybe I just didn't have too much of a spiritual awakening. But other than that, I didn't really have too much regard for God. And it was showing in my everyday actions, the way I was acting and the things I was turning to. I was doing the very thing that the Bible said not to do. It says, do not lean on your own understanding, but lean on God. So I decided to move back home with my biological mom, who is still in South Carolina at this time. And the overall plan is that I move in with her, I get a job, save up money, and I go back to school, and I kind of just pick up where I left off. But in no time, I quickly start to realize that not only has she not changed, but there's strong spiritual warfare in this household. I'm talking arguments every other day, hostility every other day. Like, every little thing is an argument, every little thing is a disagreement, every little thing results in somebody yelling at someone or threatening to leave or whatever. And I noticed that this is just starting to take a toll on me. And as time goes on, I noticed that I start to slip back into the occult practices. I'm basically trying to figure out the answers of where are we going wrong? What can I do to be a better son? What can I do to limit these arguments? What can I do? And I'm seeking out this guidance from essentially the devil, because occult practices are not from God. So I'm getting more readings done. I have dream catchers. I'm going to store and buying crystals to try to, protect the peace. Obviously, as time goes on, it's not really getting me anywhere, and it's ultimately a waste of money, and it's actually adding more spiritual warfare into the house, because when you practice these things, you're actually opening doors and portals for demons to come into your life and raise havoc. So it gets to a point where not only am I doing tarot cards, but I'm buying candles for good luck, and participating in money chants, and going to sleep with high vibrational YouTube videos and stuff, and just all these different occult practices, and basically any and everything but God. I'm not putting my trust in God. I'm putting my trust in man-made things. And again, you lean on God. You don't rely on your own understanding, but you rely on Christ, who is the beginning and the end, the Alpha, the Omega. Then eventually, I opened probably the worst portal I could have opened, which is demonology. I start to develop this interest in demonology as far as figuring out certain demons, what their names are, what can they do, what are they known to, bless you with. And again, it really wasn't malintent. Mainly looking at it from a bird's eye view, it was really just me, yet again, trying to figure out what's going to work best for me. How can I better support myself spiritually? I basically had this idea in my head that, well, maybe I have access to something spiritual that's much greater than all of us, that can be deemed useful. And that's kind of where I messed up. Okay, so it got to the point where I was looking up certain demons. What certain demons, like their names, what could they do, what are they known to help with? Like, it was like a me type of thing. And I wasn't outsourcing for God. I wasn't outsourcing like for God. I wasn't trying to find an answer within God. I wasn't putting all my trust into God. I was doing what the Bible said not to do, which was leaning on my own understanding and not onto the Creator's. And ultimately, I was paying for it because nothing was getting resolved, and it was just contributing to the spiritual warfare within the household. It got to a point one night when I went to sleep, and I had this dream that I was in the bathroom, and I was like brushing my teeth, and I had leaned down in the sink to like spit the toothpaste out or whatever. I was noticing in my peripheral vision that my reflection was not ducking down with me, and it was standing still. When I looked at it, it was me, but its eyes were jet black. So I start panicking, and I try to like leave the bathroom, and there was like this invisible force that was forcing me to stand in place and not leave. It was like forcing me. I was like struggling to get out the bathroom, and I couldn't get out the bathroom. And it was also trying to like force me to like stare at it in its eyes. And that was scary. And I remember I just didn't know what to do. And I ended up calling out for Jesus. I called out Jesus' name like probably 2 or 3 times, and then I was freed. Instantly woke up. It was bright daylight outside. Oh, it's bright daylight outside after this dream. Very next day I have another dream similar, only this time I'm in a hotel room, and I'm kind of like chilling, and then like the lights go out, but I think there's like a TV light on, so it's a little dim. It's like quiet. It's like it gets real quiet, and I just feel like something bad's gonna happen, and out of nowhere I kind of get like a whoosh in the air, and my back's to the ceiling. My arms and legs are all like spread out, and I couldn't move. Whatever this entity was, obviously it was some kind of demon, but whatever this thing wanted, like it seemed like it just wanted control, and it really wanted to control me. It didn't want me to have like free will of my own. But I noticed, it's like I couldn't think of anything else other than to call on Jesus. And the moment I called on Jesus, again, I like screamed his name a few times, and I was done. I woke up. The dream was done. Like the demon or whatever it was, it had lost all complete power and control over me. And I woke up. Again, bright daylight, which is weird, but okay. That's when I started taking God serious. I said, yeah, this spiritual warfare stuff is real. You know, this demonic stuff is real, which means that this God stuff is really real. And again, I've never really thought that God wasn't real. I just wasn't having, like, I just didn't have as much regard for him as I should have, and as much as I do now. You know, as time went on, I started to get more and more signs from God. There was one time where I'm in the parking lot, and I'm just writing, I'm journaling. And this random person drives up to me, jet black car, I think it's like a Challenger or something, jet black car, jet black rims, tints, black tints, drives up to me and asks to perform on me. I don't know this person, never seen this person a day in my life. So I wasn't rude, and I politely declined. So I didn't really feel comfortable at the parking lot anymore, so I went to this river to continue praying and journaling. I started to speak to God about many things, and one of those things were, you know, do I have spiritual gifts and whatnot? It's okay if I don't, I just would love to know if I do. I went back home and I DoorDashed some work equipment, and the lady, there was an older lady, probably like in her 40s, and she came to the door. I believe she knocked on the door, and she had kind of left everything, you know, on the ground for me. So I opened the DoorDash bag. There's 2 cards in there. So the first card is 1 Peter 4:10, which basically speaks on spiritual gifts and how every single man has one. And I was like close to tears, because I'm like, I just asked him about this. I didn't even know he would answer me. I wasn't even really expecting an answer all like that, but he answered me and essentially said that you do have spiritual gifts. Every man has spiritual gifts, and we should use them to be good stewards amongst one another in the Lord's name. The second card was John 10:10, which basically warns Christians to be sober-minded as the enemy, the accuser, the devil, prowls around like a lion seeking souls to devour. And that card resonated with me as I was approached by someone who I didn't know, who was kind of driving around the parking lot like a prowling lion, like, I ain't gonna lie. Just kind of prowling around, not really looking like they were busy. They were kind of just like looking to get into trouble, looking to get into things. That card, John 10:10, kind of told me that, you know, that card, John 10:10, to me was letting me know that God was saying, like, hey, I was there, just like the devil was there, trying you, tempting you. I was also there, and you have to be careful, because the devil, he's prowling around, and he's looking for souls to devour. And again, 1 Peter 4:10 spoke to me, because I had literally just asked God about spiritual gifts, and he confirmed with me in less than an hour that you do in fact have spiritual gifts. Every man has spiritual gifts. So that's pretty much my story, my testimony, pretty much from beginning up until now, of, you know, who I am, where I came from, and how I ultimately got led to Christ and became a man of God. I'm still working on myself. I still have vices just like everyone else. I still make mistakes. I still sin. But I always remember Proverbs 24:16, which states that the righteous falls down 7 times and gets right back up, while the wicked stays in calamity. That verse means so much to me, because I have fallen numerous times, way more than 7 times. But I have gotten back up. I have gotten up, picked up my cross, and followed Christ. Because to follow Christ, he calls on one to pick up their cross, to deny themselves, and then follow him. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you picked up something from this. You know, hopefully you were edified. Hopefully this related to most people in their situations in one way or another, and hopefully this plants a seed in just about every single person who comes across this video and watches it to the end. This is my first YouTube video. I just thought it would be fit to come on here, share a little bit about myself and my testimony, which led me to Christ. Because not only do I want this channel to have a foundation strong rooted in Christ, but I also want the community around this channel to be no stranger to transparency. So thank you again for watching. Until next time, I don't know you, but I love you. Christ loves you. God bless you.